Hello. My stepmother is actually a very nice woman. We get along quite well, and she's not too bad looking either. My sister and I get along very well. I've never been to a dance or prepared for one, putting lots of time into my dress and my hair, only to come down the stairs and have her rend the clothes from my body and tell me she hates me and have me be forced to wear something constructed by mice to a ball. That's never happened. So I can't say that Cinderella has ever really struck a chord for me. But I would like to tell you a fairy tale. So tonight, we're going deep into a wood where there lives women who are friends, who are wise, who love one another. This is the story of Snow White and Rose Red. Deep in this wood, of which I just told you, there was a mother, a kind, loving, also beautiful mother. And she had a cottage that she kept up very well. Though there was no man to help her, she did it all herself. And she also was good at taking care of the lawn, and she had two beautiful rose bushes. One that grew up very straight, and it had soft, white blooms. The other furled out, and it had large, bright red blooms. And when she had her daughters, she looked at those bushes and she thought, yes, they shall be Snow White and Rose Red. And the girls were like those roses in many ways, very fair, very beautiful, but also very bright. They helped their mother. They loved her as she loved them. And the girls, being good, wonderful girls, also inhabiting a fairy tale, would go out into the wood and sing songs. Birds would perch upon them, squirrels danced before them, and various woodland creatures such as deer and possibly mice also danced about, and everyone was very happy. This is a fairy tale. They also helped their mother inside. They were obviously deft at using the spindle and very handy when it came to fixing things that were broken in the house. They had wonderful skills. They told each other witty tales. They could do intricate braids with one another's hair. The girls had it all going on. And when winter came, they spent their evenings sitting inside, and their mom would sit in a rocking chair, and they would sit beside her, and it was cozy, it was nice, it was warm, and warmth radiated from the house out into the wood. And then one night, there came a knock at the door. This is rare, we are in a woodland fairy tale, not many visitors passing through town. And so the mother thought, so she looked at Snow White and she said, "Hon, the door, see who it is." Snow White went up to the door thinking, this could be a prince, this could be a peddler, this could be Rumpelstiltskin, anything can happen. She flung it open, and standing in the doorway was a giant brown bear. He was the biggest creature she had ever seen. He was coming in from the cold, and the fur on his back and his front stood out stiff from his body because the muscles beneath were moving to keep him warm. He was a beast, and he was a creature, and he was beautiful. Also terrifying. She ran away. And while she cowered underneath the bed, her sister hid behind her mother. Her mother looked. She saw the beast. She thought. He hadn't eaten them yet. So she went up to the bear. And she said, "What precisely is it that you want from us, sir?" And the bear, big though he was, hunched a little bit. And he seemed smaller then. "It's cold. And I see your fire and it seems so warm. Would you let me in? That's all I want. Just to be warm with you." "We can manage that. Come on in. Girls, make him welcome." So the bear entered, and he moved into the space, filling it with his big self. And he got in front of the hearth, and he curled laid down, and he started to relax. As he relaxed, he became even bigger, but he still seemed cold. The girls grew more comfortable seeing him in the house, and they approached. And they reached out to him. And with their small, obviously beautiful fingers, began to run their hands through his hair until they got to the pieces of ice and snow that were lodged inside. They would wrap their fingers around it and warm the snow and the ice in their hands until it melted. It was warm, and they pulled it out. Piece by melted piece. And the bear was eventually dry. He was very cozy now. The girls were comfortable. Things progressed. They started to tickle him. They would pull on the hair a little bit. They flicked his ears. They tickled his paws. It was fun. It was nice. Everyone was having a good time. And then the girls were getting a little too aggressive, and the bear was trying to be polite. He was a guest. But things eventually got to be too much. And he said, "Enough! Enough! Snow White Rose Red. Believe me, be, or your suitor will be dead." What? We haven't rhymed yet. This is strange. So, not wanting to make a good scene, they're good hostesses, they let up. The teasing was done. And eventually, they went to sleep and left the bear on the hearth. Throughout that winter, the bear came back every night. It was routine, and he became part of the family. All three of the women were very attached. But there came a day when things began to melt outside of the house. And one of those warm mornings, the bear saw what was going on. He looked at the family and he said, "Spring is here. I won't be coming back. Don't leave the door open for me anymore." They were hurt. They had been so hurt. And he made his apologies, saying that the winter had been very kind, but you see, he had a treasure, and it was buried out in the wood underneath the ground. And during the winter, when the ground froze, it was safe, no one could get to it. But the dwarves that lived in the trees and underneath the ground, when things started to thaw, they could come up out of the ground, and being rude, nasty little creatures, stole things that didn't belong to them. Treasures included, especially treasures, in fact. He had to go out into the wood and protect his treasures from those dwarves. And so he left. But on his way out, Snow White followed him to the door, and big guy that he was, he couldn't quite make it through easily, and she seemed to notice that it looked as though he had caught his fur a little bit. She could have sworn she saw something golden and bright shining beneath, but she thought, not likely, and the moment passed and he was gone. It being spring, there were things to fetch in town. Trips were easier and the girls could get out and about. So one day, Snow White and Rose Red grabbed their baskets and they went into town to buy some cloth. They set out. Ha ha ha, singing, birds landing. It was a wonderful afternoon, and then all of a sudden, they heard something. The girls took off. It was a weird, strange noise, nothing they had ever heard before. They thought it might be dangerous, but it was just so bizarre they had to know what it was. So they took off. They found it. It was a small, shriveled little man with a long, long beard. And that beard was wrapped around the branch of a fallen tree. And he was trying to pull his beard loose from the branch. But as he did, he pulled the knot tighter, and every time he went, "Oh! Oh!" He was not happy. The girls, sensing his distress, knew that there was nothing to be done but free the nasty little creature. Snow White grabbed her scissors, Rose Red looked away, and she snipped it. She cut him free. They were proud. They'd done their good deed for the day. But the dwarf was not happy. "Oh, you maimed me, you nasty, nasty creatures. I'm naked. What will I do? I can't go home. I've been shaved. I'm bare." It'd been like an inch, maybe. It wasn't wasn't much. He took what was left, wrapped it about his body, and took off scurrying through the underbrush. And that was that. They went into town. Well, next week, again, the girls need to go to town. And again, they heard the same squealing little man. And this time, he actually had the misfortune of wrapping his beard around his fishing line. And that fishing line was attached to a magically large fish that was pulling him along a riverbed and dragging him into the water. Again, he was squealing! And again, they knew what had to be done. This time, Rose Red snipped. He was ticked. Oh! And he grabbed what was left and ran away. Nasty, nasty creatures the whole way. But really, they knew they'd done right. I mean, come on. Well, the next week, again, they had to go out into town. And this is going to be a shocker. They heard a noise. Oh! It was the dwarf again. Not a unicorn. And so they went, they stopped the noise. They discovered that this time the dwarf, suspended by what was left of his beard, was being pulled by an eagle. But the dwarf, being short and although also shriveled, was still quite tubby, and the eagle couldn't quite clear the ground. So the girls leaped into action. Snow White grabbed the dwarf's little ankles. Rose Red leaped up. She snipped I almost said the beast. Well, he was beastly, wasn't he? And she snipped him free. He looked at them. They knew he was going to be mad, but this time something was different. He said, "You nasty, nasty, nasty little girls! You will meet a beast in these woods." And he ran off. The sisters looked at each other and they thought, he is not improving with time. But they went into town and they came back thinking, you know, this has happened 3 times. We live in a fairy forest. Our troubles must be over. Well, as they were coming back, they saw a glow through the trees. And it was enticing, it was beautiful, it was a mystical, bright light. And so they crept closer, curiously. And what did they see? They saw that nasty little man sitting on the ground with a pile of jewels. Bright, shining jewels, sparkling in a mysterious light that seemed to be coming from nowhere. And they snuck up around him, not because they wanted to steal them, but because they were just so beautiful and gorgeous. These girls lived in a cottage. They didn't have this sort of stuff. I could have said college. I obviously go to college. I'm not wearing diamonds. But I like talking about it. But he sensed they were there, and he became enraged. And he turned on them and he said, "You nasty, nasty, nasty little girls! This is all mine! You can't have any of it! Go away! Go away!" And he looked very self-satisfied, like he knew their beast was coming through the woods. He was right. At that exact moment, there were heavy footsteps. Things were breaking in the wood. A large beast came through the trees. It was a bear. He loomed in front of the dwarf. "What is this?" The dwarf suddenly was very sweet. "Oh, please, don't eat me. Please, don't eat me. You can have all of this treasure." The bear, looming, said, "Sir, the treasure treasure is already mine. She took it from me. The bear licked his furry lips. The dwarf was even more alarmed. Sir, you don't want to eat me. Eat those girls. They're chubby. Don't they look good? They live in a cottage. Their mom makes them sweets. Succulent. The bear looked at the girls. He wasn't complaining. He looked at the dwarf. And he said, no, I'll not be eating the girls. And with one swoop of the paw, the dwarf fell down. He never got up again. The girls had just witnessed a killing. They took off running. They were terrified. They're like, oh my God. This is insane. We live in a cottage with our mom. Wild stuff never happens. Oh, I tangled stuff on my spindle yesterday, and I thought, God, life's horrible. I went to the market. They sold me ribbons. I'm like, dude, I'm wearing red, not blue. Life is whack. But as they were running, freaking out, the bear called out to them, Snow White, Rose Red, girls, it's me. I'm the bear. And they stopped and they turned and they realized it was the bear. Again, convenient. And in that moment, his fur split apart. This is where it seems like it can be a gross story. His fur split apart and it fell down. Sadly, he wasn't naked. But he was wearing a golden suit of armor. And in the golden suit of armor, there was the ugliest man you've ever seen. Bear was a good choice. Do not know what to say. Okay. I'm kidding. No, he was gorgeous. So cold. And this stone cold foxy man bear turned to Snow White and he was like, baby, I love you all along. And guess what? I have a brother. He's right here. Rose Red was like, at first I was upset. Now it's not so bad. So the four of them linked arms. They skipped home to Mom to leave. They went to the cottage. Mom was there. She's like, hey, what's up? And the girls were like, you met these dudes. Apparently they're noted. So, okay. They got married. They were obviously princes. The girls became princesses. And Mom moved in. That was a little rough because, you know, in-laws. But she brought the flowers and got along with the castle staff. So that was good. But the good thing about it was that the sisters got to take their lovely adventure together. And I'm really happy for them. Also really happy that the prince was not ugly. That always during the end. But that is the end of Snow White and Rose Red.